Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel and Patreon, The Bring of the Mourikis. My name is Jeffrey Tyson. I am your host, your storyteller, and the author of the Mourikis Project, The Path of the Outsider, Volume 1. And in today's reading, it's exactly that I am going to start off reading one of 26 chapters to you. And of course, every posting after that will be of a single chapter all the way to the final chapter, which is chapter 26. I guess I wanted to give you a heads up because since this is a poor man's version of an audiobook, I wanted to give you a heads up that because I'm living in an urban area, you may hear motorcycles, doors opening and closing, considering I live with roommates for now. Fire trucks, police cars, sirens. So if you do hear any of that, please pardon the beginning stage version of this audiobook, which is one of the main reasons why I'm doing it this way and not using a professional, as well as because you get a better understanding of the story when listening to the actual author read it. I don't know, however you want to, however you perceive it, that's completely your business, and all views are welcomed. All right. So to give you two small notifications about the reading, one of them in each chapter, there will be notes, and those notes pertain to how to read the story as you progress through the story, and the language change from one area of the world to another, and that being in relation to the languages spoken of the lands or areas visited. The second one will be an introduction of quotations, and those quotations are by people of historical times, both past and present, where certain topics that were introduced in their discussions were how it goes. It was recorded, historically, and these people are known for these quotes or sayings, and each one of them, depending on which one fits the actual, the point of the story, has been used. And it is up for y'all to determine exactly how it's going to be, how it fits in, right? Okay. So to avoid too much talking, let's get to it. Chapter 1, The Territories of Europe, beginning in the Kingdom of Sicily. The subtitle is called The Mission of the Messenger. Quote is by Thomas Fuller, and it goes, "Zeal without knowledge is fire without light." The story begins on Saturday, June 12th, 1378, at 12:07 in the morning, in the area of the Kingdom of Sicily of the Trapani region. In the Middle Eastern province of Trapani, Sicily, near the hill forests of Lago Rubino, northwest of Salome, resides a devout Jewish Sicilian-born woman disguised as a Roman Catholic under her deceased husband of Venetian ancestry. Inside her heavily decorated home of books, flowers, and trinkets made of clay, wood, and stone are engravings of the Magen David Adom and inscriptions from Jewish texts, as well as the woman lying in slumber. Tossing and turning in her sweat with fear upon her face, the woman appears to be forcing herself to wake from a nightmare. Meanwhile, over her sleeping body are two jinns, tasked as Notchmars, who are compelling bad dreams of a personal nature onto her until an entity greater than themselves frightens them off by an entry made of its illuminated domain, and they tremble concurrently at its opening, and it being accompanied by another entity greater than itself. There occurs a submission that requires no words to be spoken to them, for they know who enters. The entities stand over her and give her a different entry. In this phantasmagorical reality, the woman's sight beholds an alternative one that is cataclysmic in its proportion. In it, the woman can hear but cannot see exclamation of violent cries and great hordes, which are multitudes of both men, which is spelled with capital M, referring to both sexes of mankind, and incorporeals, meaning the dead in spirit form. She sees in immobilizing terror the terrains of earth crumble and quake below and high above ground level as if gravity were lost. She sees in shrinking horror 7 colossal tornadoes ranging in size of 360 meters wide and 6,336 feet in height. The woman has fallen onto her knees in her break. There is a fog of dust and unknown debris limiting her view to the matters of the land and is surrounding its environment, allowing only portions of figuration. She sees the waters rush to fill the space of the ground nearest her, but loses its placement because of the loss of gravity. As the rain is falling down, it is falling up also. She sees in her helplessness the mountain is falling onto the people as if a child throwing a large stone into a pile of ants. She sees in great fright the stars falling from the firmament as one would see a cluster of asteroids shooting across the constellation. She hears the sound of thunderous horn trumpets coming from the corners of the earth like a moth in the middle of a mass of men in mourning. As the quakes become more violent and the shrieks of anguish continue to volume, the woman frantically closes her eyes, hoping that she will awake from this nightmare, only to open them to a mist of men and corporeals and hideous demons and devils engaged in violence. She witnesses the demons tearing the men apart while the devils were cannibalizing the soul's flesh of the corporeals and that of the living men in sexual arousal, savoring the taste before being transfigured into smoke ashes. In dread, the woman wants to run, but is surrounded by suffering and death. She keeps still and low, hoping that they won't pay her any mind, that she is not to be the focus of their rage and hate, making her meat to their bellies. She can't bear the sight of this horrendous violence and is deathly afraid of what they will do to her when they spot her. Her fears are overwhelming her. With her eyes and cheeks drenched in tears, she pleads desperately to wake, clutching her hands to the soil, and while still on her knees, pushing the soil violently as to force herself into awareness, while uttering very low and panicked, "Come on, come on, come on." Impatient in her attempt, there is now an intense and excessive fear that is built, and by that, she exclaims at the top of her lung while looking to the heavens, nearly hyperventilating, "Wake up! Wake up! Wake up! Wake up! My God, please, help me!" Sorry, y'all, but I'm not good with the female voices, so you gotta bear with me, huh? Again, imagination, use it. Continue. The exclaim is sound, leveling like the vitals of an equalizer hitting max, following an echo in its urgency, and is aimed to be impossible for God to not hear. In her scared to death state, she's knocking her left foot through the ground while wailing profusely in agony, as now the demons and devils have taken notice of her and move in near her, looking to rend flesh from flesh and bone from bones. As they are centimeters of arm's reach, the reality subtly freezes in a standstill, stripping sound with it. The woman opens her eyes after closing them upon their nearness, and upon realizing that the sound utterly ceased, not hearing tone or motion. Within 1.2 seconds of her marvel to the transfigured scenery, a voice of a sharp and loud tone in the very likeness of rough seashores coming and going on its coastal lines calls out to the woman, "Gabriella." The first call startles her, making her jerk in place, following the shutting of her eyes in fear, afraid to look at where the voice came from. In the old Hebraic tongue, the voice applies more substance to get the woman's attention, using volume with it in its attempt to spark the courage in her. Gabriella Levy called Luciana Barletto. At this point, she opens her eyes, ready to lay view onto who it is who knows her to such familiarity. And the voice continues to speak, saying, "Widow to the late Giuseppe Barletto, and daughter to David and Esther Levy of Salome, will you not embrace the nature of audacity upon your bosom?" Gabriella, called Luciana, now displays a countenance of relief, but turns with a skittish demeanor toward the unknown. She looks around, but sees no one there. The chaotic environment that was is no more. She sees an empty terrain floor and endless water at height to caress her ankle's bottom, in likeness to the Uyuni salt flats of Bolivia. The sky is dressed with 20% cloud and 80% sunlight, hued with near-transparent polychromatic tinctures. She sees what she thinks is a swarm of fireflies taking the firmament, but instead are a multitude of angels flying amok. In overawe, she gasps and cries to the paradise never lost, but not yet gained. After a moment, she stands up to look again and calls out to the voice, also speaking in the old Hebraic tongue. "Hello?" Onto her back, a light gleams bright, but as she turns towards the gleam at peripheral sight, the voice demands to her, saying, "Be still, child of our Lord." And by this command, she is unable to move everything but her jaw, her mouth, and her tongue willingly. The voice proceeds by saying, "It is an honor to be in your presence, my sister. Permit me to introduce to you my given name. You may call me Jophiel. I am a son and a servant to the Most High. I am an angel to our Lord Father, whose throne is found in heaven and whose souls can move about the earth. I am before you at the order and desire of the most worthy and the highest of the highest, our Creator of all known and unknown belonging to Him, to speak to you as His translator. For you have been chosen by our Lord Father to fulfill His will. Do you accept daughter of David. With tears of great pleasure racing down her face, she says with an overjoyed nature and rapturous smile, without hesitation, yet still with some lingering anxiety, "Yes, yes." "Then present your focus to our Lord," Jophiel replies. "By a piercing and blinding light, the path of the Lord is made, but our reception or response to the Lord's presence, Gabriella, without control, falls to her face unhurt and not bothered by the water, but falls as if she were induced into a comatose state, or as if dead." If you like what you heard so far, please subscribe to my Patreon for more. Thank you.